I got you.
Welcome to the Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Neil, Brian, 10th Man, Arwin, Adam, Eli and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Let's get it on! Let's get it on! Let's get it on!
Hiyo!
Hey, good morning.
Wowza.
Good morning.
Well, that's an
Good
enthusiastic
afternoon.
start. I hope this keeps up because I've got zero energy. I was up till about 6 AM editing videos. If you remember, check them out. They're published to you. I will put them out over the weekend. My visit with Patrick Gunnels over on Rumble. So, yeah, you can check that out now. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge? That's a horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth.
Can I see it from my table?
Blink test.
Did you get to that bit in the video, Brian? This is going to be bad. We've just started live and we're going to talk about stuff that people haven't watched and can't watch unless they remember. But go ahead, have you watched that bit, Brian?
Yeah, I won't give too much away. Now, blink tests. It's like people are actually bringing up blink tests in 2023.
No, there's a bit. Sorry, just to cut you off. It's the bit Neil's asking about is there's a bit where he specifically asks me if he can establish a horizontal baseline by using a table on a ship. Did you get to that bit?
No, I don't think I did, Nathan. I didn't get the last hour.
Okay, that bit got trimmed out. Quick couple of shout outs. Oh, where's my chat? Oh no, I've definitely not done a good job of setting up today. Let's just ask another housekeeping question. I can't see my chat to read it. I can see it on screen, but I can't see it to read it. It's too far away on the projector.
Want me to do it?
Yes, please. That'd be very helpful.
We've got a super chat from James Mays. $20. Thanks, James. It's morning to the panel. Support this show, folks. Thanks, James.
Spare super chat.
And there's another one. I got it. Michael Kahn. Thank you very much. Any evidence of a neutral platform?
Good one, Mike.
Neutral outcome again, isn't it? Not allowing any resolution, Nathan. They're not winning, are they? As you were describing in the pre-show, you give a perfectly adequate rebuttal, which is just ignored and rumpused for a repetition of their statements. That's standard, isn't it?
Yeah, the opponent, this guy we're talking about, this Navy guy, was at the point of verbal diarrhea. He's asking us, he's appealing to us to prove a flat Earth to him. There's a point, because I'm on camera, which I'm not typically, I'm quite expressive. You'll probably see, if you've not seen a lot of me on camera, I can't help myself. But I'm actor, I was trained. That's what it is. Right, so I can't help it. So I'm watching this back while I'm editing going, yeah, it's a good job you don't go on camera very much. Because it's written all over my face. You know, if you can tell what I'm thinking as my eyes bulge and my eyes roll and I'm you're looking all over the place. If you can't tell what I'm thinking, yeah, you're gonna have to go some to not know what I'm thinking. But he's waffling on and waffling on, and never gets to his actual stopping point that I can answer the question. Just keeps putting in caveats and prefacing his statements, and then putting more caveats and telling us what we can't do to answer him. And he goes on and on and on and on.
Did I hear you say that he said you could use a table on the ship?
Yep.
Yes, he asked me if the distance to horizon's relevant. And I was like, no, it's not. It's like, well, okay, so I can establish a horizontal baseline with a table on my ship then. I'm like, no, that's not the horizon.
No. See, it's all convoluted. We're not using the horizon to establish the horizon. We're using the horizon to establish the sun's or star's vertical against the horizon, which is a perpendicular. Because there's nothing steady at sea but the horizon. So that's why you rock the sextant left to right until you find in the pendulum motion of the rocking, the middle zenith of the star against the horizon is for vertical, because you can't get your vertical at sea. And the stupidity of thinking you have a table on a ship and you're going to establish your vertical with that table. No. We can't get our vertical. That's the problem. So we use the steadiest thing, the horizon. We rock the sextant to establish the vertical of the luminary, GP, where it's perpendicular to that horizontal baseline called the horizon. The distance between the two is called the zenith distance. That's your zenith, 90 degree, and the zenith of the sun. That zenith distance is the distance in nautical miles. Now, the whole concept of whether you had a bubble sextant or a horizon-based sextant because you're at sea, it's to establish a perpendicular, a 90 degree. If you can get me, anyone who can show how a sextant could show 90 degrees off of a curved surface, then we could say, okay, we lose this argument. We'll look for another way. But no, they can't. And that's why they draw the tangent plane, and that's why they use the center of the Earth. So I don't know what this table on the ship is all about.
Well,
You
was that
lost
genuine?
hello.
Nate, was he genuine there when
Hold on, Adam.
he was making that suggestion about? So how'd you get an angle from a curved baseline? Put a table on the curved baseline.
Exactly.
If he was being facetious, that's a point on us for those with any reason skills, because I mean, for someone to ask that means that obviously you'd be able to use the deck of the ship, but obviously you can't do that. So that's obviously ridiculous to anyone listening. A table, that makes no sense. You know, it's interesting. Tenth, have you noted that the practical navigator, when he says horizon, what he's illustrating with his hand as he puts his hand horizontal, that's what he's saying is the horizon. He's talking about that horizontal that you make when you're getting the vertical.
Correct.
And he repeats that a couple of times.
Well, you need a horizontal to establish a vertical to establish perpendicular. If you're looking for the zenith of any star over the Earth, well, we already know that's 90 degrees. You can't have 90 without a horizontal. So it's a perpendicular relationship. Okay, you're at sea on a ship that's tossing and turning, and you're saying, what can I use to establish a horizontal? I can't use a artificial horizon in the Mercury version. I can't use the bubble section. Oh, I'll use the horizon where the sky seems to meet the ocean. And then the whole action of rocking the sextant, that is a key, because if you say mark and it's on the pendulum motion left of center or right of center, you get too large of an angle. It's not vertical. So this is the whole point of getting that right. And then, of course, the height of eye was established at port because you have to now make a correction as if you were doing that with your eyeballs on the ocean surface. So you minus, subtract that distance from the top of the ship to the surface of the ocean. And what does that give you? A 90 degrees. Now, as Adam said, can you do that on a curved surface?
No, you can't. sounds like, Tenth, you tabled his argument.
Ooh, he
Well,
doesn't have a leg to stand
just
on.
detailed beautifully.
Oh.
Hold on one second, guys. Just one sec. You detailed beautifully, better than I did, what I detailed to the guys last night. How you require a flat Earth in order to perform celestial navigation. So that was exactly what I went through. The only bit that I did slightly worse than you, everything else was kind of in different orders, but the same thing. I went through the same stuff. But as I was editing it, I kicked myself because when I described rocking the sextant, I said you bring it down and get it in line with the horizon. And I was listening to it going, God damn, if I'd just said the star, why did I say it? I knew what it was. I just didn't clarify it. And for me, even though 90% of what I said went straight over the Reds, right? It's just that frustration of knowing you haven't got it quite perfect. You just haven't been... Everything else was so concise. I've got as much info as I can possibly cram into a reply before the interruption comes. And then...
No, Nathan.
Yeah.
You didn't make a mistake there. That it is obviously in the context. It is whatever star. I don't think that's a big mistake.
No, I think we need a full like critique video on it. You've let us down.
That's right.
But what I'm trying to get at is I'm concerned about hyperspecificity. They're not even comprehending their own bloody claim. There's a stark void between the two parties in yesterday's discussion, I can assure you, to the point of comedic value.
Well, the fact...
Can I ask you a question, Nathan? Can I ask Nathan
Isn't
a
there
question?
always, though? You know?
Brian
Nathan,
first, then 10th, then Alvin. Brian, go ahead.
Which guy? Was it the guy with the beard said you can use a table? Or was it the other Navy guy?
Navy guy.
Wow. So a Navy guy said you could use a table. I mean, was he only ever on calm water? I mean, for a start, you can't use a table. It's like the whole point of using the horizon and doing height of void correction is because you can't use the boat because it's moving around all the time. I mean, I don't know what boats this guy was on. Maybe he was just at port all the time. Because anyone who's been on a boat once in their life, even on calm sea, would know that the boat is never steady. No matter how big it is, it's never 100% steady. You certainly couldn't use it for a 90. Go on, Adam.
That's why you put it on a table, so it's all steady. Right.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Just one second.
Hydraulic.
10th and then Arwen, and then I've got something to actually add to this because this is
What about
Earth
me?
proof. Oh, sorry, Neil.
Okay.
It was actually Neil first, then 10th, then Arwen. Neil, go ahead.
I'm going to be quick. Nathan, you lost him when you said hello. It was over there.
You're not far off the truth. Go ahead, 10th.
All right. So the idea of a table is in the artificial horizon if you're landlocked, where you can't use a horizon, you don't have a bubble sextant to establish a horizontal. So we've done a video on this, Adam, Mitchell, and I. It's on Mitchell's channel. And we go through the different ways. And there's no dip correction in that one. There is no dip correction in that one. In fact, you have to half the angle because you're using the sun against itself. And you're using liquid at rest, which gives you a flat plane. So that's that method. Then you got the bubble sextant method when maybe you're in an airplane and the clouds are covering the horizon, because in the old day they used to say, okay, we're 10,000 feet above the ocean, so that's our height of eye correction. Okay, they don't do that anymore. So they just use the bubble and establish a horizontal. Again, both of those establishing a 90 degree. Now you're at sea. You can't do those. You can't use those two other methods. So you have got to use the only thing available, which is the horizon, because your ship is rocking, whether you have a table on it or not. You're not using the ship or a table. You're using the horizon. That's why it's the horizon there. And then you rock the sextant to establish the vertical of the luminary, which we've already just said, but just as summary and review, to establish a 90. And then in all the pictures of this last way of doing it, they all have a tangent plane underneath them, which is under the sensible horizon, which is their eyeline horizon, the fictitious one done by the bubble, okay? And then they have one at the center of the Earth. So they got three flat planes as to how you establish your angle. Three flat planes and a circle, which is representing their globe, drawn in the background that these 3 flat planes sit on. One in the middle, the equatorial plane, one at the sea surface, the geoidal, and then one at the eye line, the sensible. All 3 coincide to be one, transposed. How in the world are you going to subtract from 90 the angle to a sun with a curved baseline? The sextant has never worked on the curved baseline, can never work on the curved baseline. The sextant only works with a flat baseline.
Yeah, the sextant proves Earth is flat. It can only work on a flat plane. Arwin, go ahead. Then I've got a video to react to, or one little section of one little video.
All right, it was just one statement. I'm getting some feedback here. Anyway, I just wanted to say, I bet he's done a lot of tabletop exercises, but have seen very little action in the field. The tabletop exercises. They do that in the military.
Getting a Dutch guy to do a pun is painful.
It is, but I got there.
Yeah, well, if I have to wait for like 10 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, my bad.
Well, you explain it while you do it. That's the problem.
Okay, let's just not lose my segue. So the point of this is that I wanted to do a little reaction, because the video I'm about to play out to you, which I'll have to chunk up just so I don't get copyright strikes from the guy in case he gets pissed at me. But either way, he's generally a guy known for doing reaction videos anyway, so maybe shouldn't be too concerned. But anyway, that aside, I watched this video this morning, and I don't know about the channel name, because the guy, I thought he was called Asmongold or something like that. Anyway, the name of the channel is something like Penguinz0. Penguinz0. I don't know. That's the name. He's got 20 million views or something, 20 million subscribers. No, 12 million subscribers. So he's a big YouTuber, this guy. Anyway, he's rattling off his description of this clairvoyant type person. And while he's doing so, he does throw in astrology in terms of woo-woo, which is fine, I suppose, given the current general understanding of what people think astrology is. So fine, let's kind of wave past that. Now, the reason we're reacting to this will become apparent at the end. But as I say, what pricked my attention was twofold. One is in regards to what we've just been talking about, which is proving the Earth is flat, evidencing how celestial navigation can only use a flat plane. And the other was his description of people who, in the face of glaring contradictions to their assertions, things showing them to be categorically wrong, will go through hoops. Let's just let him say it.
TikToks, and I already did talk about some of these in the last video I made, but I actually want to bring this out to a bigger topic, and that's people's inability to accept responsibility even when faced with the absolute truth.
Hopefully you've got the general gist of what this is going on. If you're listening and not watching, this is a video called "This TikTok Detective is Horrible."
People are so afraid of being wrong that they will just do the most unrealistic mental gymnastics that you couldn't even write in a fucking cartoon.
So can you see how I was listening to this going, yeah, man, I just experienced this firsthand yesterday in this debate where someone's jumping through hoops and getting, elevation angle measurements with a baseline established off a table. Just crazy mental gymnastics. I'm thinking, yeah, man, right on.
In order to justify how they're still correct and they're not wrong.
Right, so guy thinks he's on a globe. I tell him how you can only measure elevation angle measurements off a flat plane. He comes back at me and says, the Earth curve's negligible, even though we've spent 20 occasions repeating how it's at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, but he's telling us how negligible it is because he understands that we're getting the angle from a flat plane. So he says out to the horizon is just flat because it's negligible Earth curve, because he doesn't understand his own claim. And I'm thinking, oh, right, this dude with the long hair, he knows exactly how I feel. Some people, it doesn't matter how wrong you show them. It doesn't matter how much you prove that you cannot get elevation angle measurements if Earth's curved and it's used daily in celestial navigation. The person will just perform mental gymnastics and tell you how Earth isn't curved, or it's negligibly curved when it's supposed to be measured with calculable Earth curve at the horizon. So I'm like, yeah.
I've seen this all over Twitter. When someone gets dunked on Twitter, like they get provably dunked on with facts, logic, evidence, they still...
So yeah, so you're showing them, you're saying this is how celestial navigation works. Here's the descriptions of them getting a 90 degree. You can't get that if Earth's curved. Here's a description of them measuring angles off a flat baseline. That's a flat Earth. You can't do that if Earth's curved. And here's them minusing it from 90 and getting the distance along a flat baseline to the GP of the star below its position on a flat Earth. So you've got all of the understandings of how flat Earth works. And my opponents, they don't acknowledge a word of it. In fact, they'll mute me when they reassert the position that all of that detail overcame.
Still will discredit it or come up with some reason that that evidence, the facts, the proven truth is wrong and they are right.
Right, they'll argue against celestial navigation, like I'm claiming celestial navigation when it's a thing that just is real and is using a flat Earth. They'll start arguing with celestial navigation, thinking they're arguing with me. Nuts, right? Can you see how I was getting really behind this, guys? Not
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Right.
I see the correlation.
Right, so you're all genned up for this guy and what he's saying right now, right, hopefully?
No,
It's this
I think I know
weird
what's coming.
defense mechanism that's so infuriating. You see it all the time with flat earthers. How many times have flat earthers proven with their own experiments that the world is round, and yet they still decide to believe that it's flat? It's people still just...
Oh, right. Got
How
something
did
to
I
say.
know we were going to be the bloody example of the
Yeah.
most contrary thing? Yeah. Sorry. It was just a given, wasn't it, that we were going to be the exemplar of unreasonable cognitive dissonance when that's all we ever face. It's,
We can give example after example of example of people being shown how they're wrong, how their assumption of a globe Earth doesn't work, how their assumption of an R value's been debunked, how their assumption of boats falling over an Earth curve horizon's been debunked, how celestial navigation only functions on a flat plane. And what we get back is, well, maybe I can get level from a table, because the negligible Earth curve at a short distance when you're measuring the horizon, because you have to measure it flat, that bit's flat, but beyond the horizon isn't. And you're like, no, the GP's beyond the horizon. That's what you're measuring. You're measuring an angle to the GP. That's the baseline. That's flat Earth. You know, they go through these mental gymnastics. What's the comparison? We are the ones that go through mental gymnastics because we've got experiments. No, dude. No. You're talking about an individual. A clown show called Jaron who calls experiments when they're not, or Bob who calls experiments when they're not. You know, they're clowns. They're not me, though. I'm a flat earther and I'm telling you how Earth is flat. Celestial navigation proves it. You can't get an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline. I also understand what an experiment is. Now, because this guy doesn't address the fact that a claimed experiment that's been shown to be wrong would be presumably the biggest well-known Netflix example. Number one wasn't an experiment. Yeah, it wasn't disproving anything. So we haven't got a valid hypothesis from that claim to be a natural phenomena that we observe when we set up a load of sticks. Yeah, definitely not science. Meanwhile, we can prove Earth is flat, and all we face is cognitive dissonance, an example of which will be published shortly. That's it. I don't know if he's got anything else.
Wanting to feel special. And it doesn't matter.
So he made an edit there. So we want to feel special to, what, go out into the world and be ridiculed? That makes people feel special? When wankers like you tell us how stupid we are? Or how that we've got a God complex because, what, we want to feel special? No, you get nothing but ridicule. You're an example of that, my friend. Yeah, so no, nothing special about it. Quite the contrary, in fact. Quite a burdensome thing for many people who go out into the community and look for excuses to say it isn't flat when they know damn well it is. So no, it's definitely not something that most people take pride in. It's something that you might shy away from telling your friends, just in case they desert you. So what, you think that it makes us special? Oh, right, you've got a very weird misconception about flat Earth. Meanwhile, we can prove it's flat. Just because other people who are obviously inept, they're the ones that make it to the mainstream because the mainstream has decided to ridicule idiots that don't know what science is when they claim they can prove a flat Earth with non-science pseudoscience.
Well, Nathan, there's a guy on the debate last night who was a Navy guy, and a US Navy guy, and he didn't have a clue, and his friend, not much better, didn't have a clue what the globe model was, didn't understand the maths, didn't understand really anything about it. Yet this guy probably understands just as much, and he's turning around and saying that flat earthers don't know what they're talking about. It's like like you spent the first 10 minutes trying with the lad Patrick trying to educate them, and then many minutes after that, educate these people on their own model. So what you have here is probably a guy who doesn't know his own model, right? Who won't be able to tell you what standard refraction is, who wouldn't be able to tell you what the the claimed radius is, or where it came from, or anything else, right? And he probably thinks he's going to get a load of thumbs up from his audience. He's going to be shocked, possibly, when he sees the amount of people in his audience who are flat earthers. So he's literally attacking possibly a big portion of his audience.
Nathan, may I comment?
Okay.
No, I'll wait until Adam's done. Go ahead, Adam.
It's just a question, but just for clarity. Is this guy the guy that's just doing a video that's talking about these kind of frustrations when you're talking with people on YouTube, and he then cites us as an example of those kind of frustrating people? Or is he just generally talking about flat earthers?
No, he's not talking about flat earthers at all. He's thrown that in out of left field, because what he's actually talking about is a conspiracy theorist who's claimed somebody's guilty of murder in a publicly available case that everyone's talking about, don't know which. And based on divination, they've come up with this idea that this particular individual is the guilty party. So they've publicised that hundreds of times, and that's what he's critiquing. But he's saying, in this example, that person's been shown to be wrong. There's a prime suspect with plenty of evidence against them that's going to go through the court processes. Absolutely sod all to do with the person she's claiming is guilty. But she's continuing to claim they're guilty. That's the main point of this video. That's why the title is This TikTok Detective, i.e. the person divining the thoughts of Xenu, or whatever the hell they're doing to get their stupid nonsensical notions. That's who he's actually critiquing.
So the example, though, in all of that is to compare them to a flat earther who's the same, when presented with obvious evidence, denies the obvious evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Nathan, can you go to Master D and post the image? I want to read what Darcy Reddyhoff wrote. It's so pertinent to what's happening here. Tell me when it's there.
It is.
Okay. So this is a response to Andrew Hill writing an article about Darwin rules in this magazine back in the day, Spectator. And this is Darcy Reddyhoff, who's a subject matter expert. So this is pertinent to this story because this guy is wanting to comparing flat earth to this other thing he's doing on this channel, but he is under the guise that he's got science behind him and everything else, and we're stupid, etc. But just let me read the article and you'll see the connection.
Just before you do, quick shout out to Unitox Femo, who says double speaking and contradiction explained. Thank you very much for the super chat, Unitox Femo. Go ahead, 10th man.
Andrew Hill, Darwin rules. Okay, 12th July, page 127 says, even in the Spectator, we rarely find serious assertions that the sun goes around the earth. One can, of course, believe anything one likes as long as the consequences of that belief are trivial. But when survival depends on belief, then it matters that belief corresponds to manifest reality. We therefore teach navigators that the stars are fixed to a celestial sphere, which is centered on a fixed earth and around which it rotates in accordance with laws clearly deducible from common sense observation. The sun and the moon move across the inner surface of this sphere and hence perforce go around the earth. This means that the students of navigation must unlearn a lot of confused dogma they learned in school. Most of them find this remarkably easy because dogma is as may be, but the real world is as we perceive it to be. If Andrew Hill would look in the Journal of Navigation, he will find that the Earth-centered universe is alive and well, whatever his readings of The Spectator may suggest. Darcy Reddyhoff, Royal Air Force College, Cranfield.
Perfect. So just a little address for this penguin dude. Also, I want to actually play out the clip that we've been referencing, just so someone's got some context if they're watching and don't know what we were talking about at the beginning of the live show.
Well, this would work. If I had a sextant, how am I measuring this?
You're measuring a flat baseline.
Is there different parts of the sextant?
I'm going to mute him.
Right, but we are talking to an audience as well.
Yeah, we're not.
So
exactly.
we're trying.
I'm going to get muted because I've already addressed it.
Let's just say I'm outside and I have a table on a ship. I could use the edge of that table to determine the flat baseline.
No.
Why not?
It's just
Not
the
the
table's
horizon.
on a ship moving around on the sea. That's why you use the horizon.
But there is no distance requirement to use this. We only have to have a required horizontal base, correct?
Yeah, you look in the horizon mirror, not the table mirror.
Okay. So, like you said, though, is the horizon can be very far away or it can be closer. So there's no.
We are clear that the horizon's not a
determine-
table. Just
Right,
so I'm
GP.
clear. I just want to make sure you understand. You understand the horizon isn't a table,
I understand, but the table is a flat plane.
but it's not a horizon, which is what you look at in the sextant in the horizon mirror.
Correct. And that's kind of where I was saying and that's because the distance from a person to the horizon is predominantly flat because the curvature is insignificant at that level.
No, you're using the horizon to establish a flat baseline that could extend thousands of miles beyond the horizon in order to get the GP position of the star so that you can navigate by finding your position with that GP across a circle of equals. My bad, still in the middle of explaining how Earth's flat to you. My bad, just proving Earth's flat to you. My bad.
I'm gonna mute him.
There we go.
Okay, can I respond first, please?
You can. I just want to tell
That
the chat.
part-
Just one sec. So I've put a link to that video. As it's only 1:40, and all it actually is the intro to the 20-odd minute video, actually longer, that will come out over the weekend if you're a member of the public. If you're a member, you can see that now, and you can see the full unedited video if you're a member. So check that out. But the 1:40 clip is spammed and gone through the live stream chat if you want to check it out. Give it a like. Go ahead, 10th.
He lost the minute he said, and I quote him word for word, required horizontal base. Oh, so you're admitting the sextant requires a horizontal base, a table, sea surface, equatorial plane, eye line with a bubble. You need a horizontal base all the way to the GPS. So he lost right there because he said all it requires is a horizontal base. Well, that's the whole point. You can't do it on a curved baseline because there's no such thing. He lost right there in one sentence. He killed himself.
Well, maybe
Sextant
he was
can't work.
thinking locally flat in that direction.
It doesn't matter. The table is locally flat, but he can't use it. But he says, look, I'm using the table because the section requires, notice the word, requires a horizontal base. Well, then how does it work off of a curved Earth?
It doesn't. It requires Earth to be flat. It's a prerequisite for measuring a flat baseline. So it can't not be flat.
Yeah, it's over. He killed himself. The second thing he said, table is a flat plane. So now he's using a flat plane instead of the curved surface. So he just double killed himself.
Right.
He says,
You
But
know,
he's
no,
bringing
when-
the table. Sorry, but he's bringing the table up to invoke the locally flat. Like, oh, but there's still an edge to this table. See, so he's just
No.
equating the table with the horizon, like you're looking at the edge of the table, like it's
No, no,
locally
But
flat.
there are no flat.
oh gosh, no, he's using the horizon for vertical establishment. By saying 90, he's now saying it's flat, not just locally. It's a perpendicular to get a 90.
yes, you're getting 90 to the star. So below the star, you've got a 90-degree angle, and that 90-degree angle perpendicular to the GP, the zenith position of the star, if you were below it, that runs out to where you measure the star from. Well, that's a flat line that could run thousands of miles between you and the ground position, GP, of the star. So it's got a flat Earth between you and the star in all directions. If you triangulate 3 stars, you've got thousands, if not tens of thousands of square miles, all flat in all directions. Has to be, otherwise this wouldn't work. Proves a flat Earth.
In fact, if he could establish his 90 at sea, he wouldn't need to use the horizon, but he can't. So he needs something to establish the star's 90, to which he takes the angle, elevation angle measurement, say 50 degrees to that star, a right angle triangle, baseline from GP of the observer to the GP of the star. And he says, okay, this is the only way I could do it here using the actual horizon. So it's a 50-degree angle, right angle triangle. So now 50 minus my 90, which he couldn't do. So now he's got minus from his 90 because he's established the first 90, which means everything's in the box, everything is flat. And then he says 50 minus 90 is 40. 40 times 60 nautical miles, zenith distance from my GP to the star's GP. If you're doing that, which is what they're doing, that distance is flat. The sky version as well as the earth version, meaning if you put your eyeball on the ocean and you go to the ocean where the sun is directly over, that distance matches the zenith distance in the sky. Exactly.
Right. What bugs me is when you've got complicated evidence like this that requires more than a surface level look at Netflix for your ideas and misapprehensions about what does and doesn't prove a flat earth. You get some mainstream cuck with long hair telling you how flat earthers are in cognitive dissonance, or flat earthers are somehow lording it over other people when they've been shown to be scientifically invalid. You get these kind of mainstream cucks that have done literally no primary source research, done no due diligence, and just flow with the rest of the mainstream cuckery that has also done no research into the subject they're besmirching. It just really, really ticks me off. You know, it really chaps my asshole when thickos that can't do research start slagging off flat earthers who can categorically prove Earth is flat. I mean, it just demonstrates how stupid these Dunning-Kruger fools are. You know, what kind of a clown is this guy? Stick to talking about TikTok and real crime stories, because flat Earth's way over your pay grade, my friend. Yeah, just Dunning-Kruger.
That's the right phrase I would look at, Nathan. It was from just a little bit I've heard. At the point where he suggests the table, forget the ridiculousness of it. He's telling me I'm going to have to educate this man now on what celestial navigation is, because he's clearly demonstrated he has no idea. And this then becomes the old adage, you can't argue with an idiot. And that's where that conversation's going. Like, he's just jumping in. He thinks he's got a gotcha. He's got no idea. And he makes statements like, well, the Earth's locally flat, or it's going to be insignificant. He's got no comprehension of why it would be insignificant, or even why it isn't, more importantly, with regards to celestial navigation. You are on, like you say, they in a very short amount of time, they show how ill-informed they are and how little research they've done, because the points they're putting aren't really points for you to address the argument on. They're points that they're incorrect in their understanding of the topic, which is something you shouldn't have to help them on in any discussion. They should at least be coming with the knowledge, not a misconception of how it's that celestial.
Nathan had to teach them first.
Yeah.
And they would have listened.
Well, that was like pulling teeth.
Let me respond to Adam,
Hold on, Brian.
if
To
I
go on
may.
10th then, Brian.
All right. Take my glasses off here. Alan, that was perfect, because that goes to the article I read from Darcy Redioff. He says, just this one part, the sun and moon move across the inner surface of the sphere, and hence pre-force go around the Earth. This means that students of navigation must unlearn a lot of the confused dogma they learned in school. In this case, this guy knows he needs a flat baseline in order to get an angle. So he looks and sees that he can draw one over a curved surface and get an angle. So he does, but he doesn't realize he's got to unlearn that, because when you look and say, where's the angle originating from? And he said, well, it's originating from that flat baseline. Yeah, but you're on the surface of the Earth that curves. And if you try to figure out the sun on the surface of the Earth and it's curving, you can't use the sextant whatsoever. So why are you putting the required baseline underneath you that's on top of something curving underneath it? Aren't you using a flat Earth baseline to get the zenith distance, but you got a curve underneath it, which means the arc is moving away from you, which the angles wouldn't match with the zenith distance, and you can never find your position? He doesn't get that. He's got to unlearn that.
They don't get any of it because they've not done the research. And there was a comment they made, indictment to us earlier. We want to feel special. We don't. We're sticking our necks out to be called retards. You want to feel special because you want to see us and think you're better without having to do the knowledge. You think you can come on, do a YouTube show and destroy us and make us look stupid. Yeah, that's the opposite. You're doing it so you feel special. Yeah. The level of projection from these people is galling.
It is. At the beginning, right?
Well,
Before we got into the discussion, sorry, Brian, I will let you go next. I asked the guy, David guy with the beard, how confident he was. And in a very serious tone, he was like, I'm very confident. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Anyway, this guy, same guy we're talking about, the Navy guy. Let's just get his picture up back so we know who we're talking about. This guy. He starts off by completely denying Earth curve maths and lays out a completely nonsensical, idiotic, incorrect assertion about how Earth curve maths is made up and how it's used. And while he's doing it, I'm telling him he's wrong and trying to correct him, but he just won't have it, right? Now, bearing in mind that this guy's denying Earth curve as the horizon, right? That's the premise of what he's denying. His co-host, the actual host of the show, wants to show us Pontchartrain and horizons blocking things and blink tests with the horizon claimed to be Earth curve, while the other guy is literally denying the very premise of the Earth curve maths claim. So at some point, I have to point that out to him and go, are you both on the same track, given we spent the first 20 minutes of the live show explaining to you how your claim works because you don't know it? And now, given that you've denied it when we put it to you multiple times, your co-host is now using the very thing we've spent a significant amount of time dragging you by the short hairs through to explain your own bloody claim. He's now using that claim in complete contradiction of you saying that that's not the claim. Something that we had to take a long time explaining to him because he literally didn't know the Earth curve maths. These are people like Adam says, have the gall to presume that just because we're flat earthers, we can turn up, they can do basically nothing and just take us to pieces based on their knowledge that literally any Joe member of the public has got. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, yeah, I'd say two things on that. Hey, Chocolate, how are things?
Hey.
Yeah, I'd say first and foremost, I'd say that when that guy said I could use a table, right? Like, that makes me think the guy wasn't even in the Navy, because anyone, regardless of the size of the ship, regardless of what dampers or anything the ship has, there's always movement on the ship. Now, a flat table will always be flat, but it won't always be horizontal. And he said, but you have the horizontal baseline then. It's like the guy didn't even understand the difference between when something is horizontal and it's not horizontal.
Right.
Now, as far as the other guy...
Just 1 sec, Arwin. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, as far as the other guy goes, as bringing in like Pontchartrain, he read himself. Because first of all, he started showing a photograph of the pylons, right? And then he started showing the causeway, not making the link that he didn't realise they're not the same thing. They're two different photographs from two different parts of that lake, of two different things. He didn't understand that the pylons curve. He didn't know anything about the causeway. He didn't even show Soundly's main BS picture. You know what I mean? It's like he's just throwing stuff up because someone in the chat, who I reckon I know who it is, was giving them things to throw up. He didn't know what he was doing. He was just throwing any old nonsense up. And he showed the causeway, and it was funny because he showed it in Walter Bislin's calculator, and he showed how there was just no curvature. You know what I mean? It's like, look, you're showing no curvature. What a legend. You know what I mean? To prove your job.
Can I ask, are you talking about the same guy? Like, I saw the before I came in here, I found a 1 minute clip of Nathan on somewhere, and the guy told him that the curvature is insignificant at that level.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yes.
And in the same video, somebody's pulling up Pontchartrain.
Yes. So he tells me the
okay.
curvature is insignificant, and I tell him that it's 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as per the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. And he spends 10 minutes arguing about how we're wrong and we don't understand and how we haven't got a grip on what he's telling us. And then even from the chat told us, we're not listening. You're not listening how he's describing 1 degree for every 60 nautical miles. You're not listening. I'm like, no, I understand his arc measurement. He's begging the question fallacy. We do understand. But there we go. That's how it was progressing to the point where he's describing acquisition of a needed and required flat Earth elevation angle baseline by using a table. That's how absurd it gets.
Nathan, I think.
My favorite part of that.
Hold on, Tenth. Go ahead, Chocolate.
Real quick. Just real quick. My favorite part is that he didn't use the word negligible, which is usually the word. He said insignificant. That gave me a nice little chuckle.
Nathan, I think he was caught off guard by your knowledge when you said, "Is that Sexton have a table mirror?" I think he was caught off guard. I think what he wanted to do, and I know Brian commented on it, and Brian's version could be the correct version, but I'd like to add another version. That all he did was thinking he's running into some dumb flat earther. And he said, well, you can use a tabletop. That's a horizontal. And then you said, what, on a ship that's rocking? That caught him off guard. And then he said, no, you just need a required horizontal base, which means he lost the argument. So whether it's a tabletop on a ship, which he never would use if he's real, as Brian pointed out, it's silly, or the horizon where the sky seems to meet the sea, that is what's used with the horizon mirror. You caught him off guard with your knowledge, and I thought that was funny when you said, "Oh, is that a table mirror on the sextant?" I mean, it's so good.
But it went straight over his head, didn't it? Again,
yeah, I did.
He has no knowledge of celestial navigation.
He's probably never even been on a ship. He's probably done a bunch of Navy tabletop exercise.
Not nice pun there, but no. Realize this, please. It's like Prototab telling me I can't use citations from the Practical Navigator or any book that talks about celestial navigation, because on the other pages it shows a circle with 3 tangent planes, one at the equator, one on the surface, and one at the level of the eye. I can't use that book because, see, they believe it's on the globe. And I'm saying, no, I'm pointing out an inconsistency with the geometry here, because you cannot be using the Earth's surface if it's curved. So that's why they draw the line there. And this guy said it. It requires a horizontal base. Well, then you're telling me from GP to GP, it's a horizontal base after you establish the vertical, correct? Well, we live on a globe that curves, right? Can you get an angle measurement, elevation angle measurement from a globe that curves? No, that's why we have these lines. Okay, well then you're not measuring from the curved surface, you're measuring from a flat line. It's so in their face, but
they don't realize what they're saying when they're saying it.
That's it, Chocolate.
Yeah, like he's literally arguing for a flat horizontal baseline while not doing that. You see how ridiculous it is?
It is the hypnosis of, we live on the ball Earth, 99% of the book, but here's 1% showing you how we actually do it on a flat baseline.
Quick shout out to Skeptic936. This is one of my favourite lines from the whole show, actually, Josh. I've got to... Josh, I don't know why I just called you Josh, Skeptic936. This was my favourite line from the whole show. Josh was open to new ideas and concepts. He was on this planet to learn. Lol. So yeah, what he said to me, presumably while he's interrupting, was, I'm here to learn, or I'm here to relinquish all preconceived notions. I'm here to learn new things on the planet. What he said. Can't get the quote verbatim, but I will trim it out. Skeptic96, thank you very much for the super chat. Yes, that was one of my favourite remarks too. In other words, I'm willing to learn anything within the begging the question fallacy that Earth's a sphere, because I'm open to ideas.
I remember that. Yeah, I'm willing to learn all kinds of new things on this planet. Yeah.
That was it. I'm willing to learn all kinds of new things on this planet.
Yeah, that was some statement.
Yes.
That requires a baseline to be straight, level, horizontal.
You are if you're getting a baseline.
When you were referring to...
Go on, Brian.
I was going to say, when Tent was referring to Proto, is that the same Proto who proved without a shadow of a doubt that elevation angles and the system of gaining a distance along a horizontal adjacent works absolutely perfect on a flat plane with nautical miles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, thank
but
you.
hold on. He'll get very angry if you don't put the caveat. Yes, he did definitely prove that you can't do celestial navigation and the acquisition of angles unless you've got a flat plane. But Brian wags his finger at you. Don't get hung up on it.
You stole my line. I was going to say that. So that's a good one, because now when we put it to their face, we show the baseline at the eye line, we show the baseline on the surface, and we show the baseline at the equatorial plane. Don't get hung up on it. We just don't get hung up on those baselines. We just need them to make the sextant work.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that whole flat Earth thing, that's negligible. Don't worry about that.
So yeah, so that's the show. That was my visit to a neutral platform yesterday, where I got muted quite a lot, talked through quite a lot. Everything I refuted their claims with got ignored, and then got repeated in terms of their claim that was overcome and ignored. So it's usual stuff. Check it out if you remember.
I would just make a short. It requires a horizontal base, and just repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Where do we have that on a curved surface?
Well, the upshot of it is that Nathan got to meet one of Red's Rhetoric's fans, maybe even friends. So
maybe
that was something, I suppose.
Well, he put an argument to us that was affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy, and I didn't even have to do any work. Patrick caught it. You know, it bugs me when they do that, right? Especially when I'm in the middle of trying to make a point. I've been on mute for 5 minutes, talking to my audience on my recording. When I'm taken off mute, right, I go, all right, okay, so hopefully I'll get to address this. Rumpusing begins. Once that settles, the host hands it over to his co-host to address all the nonsense he's just been spewing for 5 minutes while I'm on mute. I'm like, whoa, you've had me on mute for 5 minutes. Can I not respond? Hello? You're not getting an opportunity to talk about this? No? So he goes, yeah, okay, fine, you can actually talk now, yeah. No worries. Get about 2 minutes in, rumpusing begins.
That was funny, Nathan. They were taking you off mute to ask someone else a question to stop you from answering anything. Then they're putting you back on mute. That's what was happening. They were trying to redirect questions. At one point, there was one of them redirecting the question that should have been to you or Patrick to the other fella. So it was like me. It's like me asking a Glober a question about redirecting it to you, Nathan.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you giving me the answer, me accepting that and moving on.
Exactly. Well, but the question that was put into him after taking me off mute, the reason I was on mute was because I'd objected to him repeating the exact same claim that I'd just overcome in great detail. So he's asking me about not actual size of the sun, because he's got a straw man flat earth model that would change the size of the sun as it moves. So I'm like, I don't claim a height or size. Here's why. And then I go through elevation angle measurements and how if you take them as literally above the ground, that length of the triangle would mean that it's touching the ground when it hits the horizon. Does it hit the horizon? No. You can stand at its GP with the sun at your zenith in that instance, and it's still in the air. So it's not touching the ground. We can't derive a height. So therefore, the question in regards to why does the not actual size of the not actual sun not change as it moves from its not actual position is a nonsensical, malformed question and doesn't debunk anything I've claimed on a flat earth model straw man he's holding up. Right, so I overcome that in the similar consistency that I've just done, but he then ignores it and repeats the question about how flat earth can't overcome this problem of the sun not changing in size. And I go, I've heard it all. I've heard all this. So that's the point that I get muted. That's the point that they shut me down. Because what they want is the order to be claim a non-refutation from me and then move on. But when it's claim refutation from me, that doesn't compute. So they have to reassert the claim and any objections to the rinse and repeat repetition of a claim that's just been overcome without any recognition of the overcome. Not one acknowledgement. An objection to a repetition, though, that'll get you muted and shut down.
Wait a minute. So flat earth can't overcome that question, even though you answered it. and gave a succinct answer. He just repeated the question. It just went over his head as if you didn't answer it. But Globe Earth can't overcome that you need a 90 and a required baseline. A Globe Earth can not overcome the fact that you need a flat baseline. And you can't say with a curved surface and with a straight surface, you would get the same distances. First of all, the two wouldn't work on the curved surface. So Globe Earth's got the problem, the bigger problem, because he said it requires a horizontal base. How in the world could anyone educated look at an image of a globe and say anywhere on the surface is a horizontal base from GP to GP? Well, it's easy. We'll just draw this line.
Brainwashing.
Yeah.
Also, flat Earth apparently can't get over the sun not changing its not actual size while it's moving around in a not actual location. That sounds awesome.
Have any of these people actually seen the actual size of the sun before they start claiming it has an angular size?
I repeated that point 5 times, Brian. Not actual size.
Yeah.
I kept saying it, and they're just looking at me with blank expressions. In other words, in terms of pay grade for this discussion, I'm up here. I'm not on camera. I'm holding my hand up high, and they're down here, holding hand down low. Actually, same goes for Patrick. Like I said earlier, I left that point. So they offer up red rhetoric. This bugs me because they didn't actually present his claim. They said you need 2 axes for an equatorial mount. I'm like, where's the equator come from? And he goes, well, it's a globe concept. And I go, no, definitely not. Okay, fine. Tell me how it's come from a globe. Short pause. I don't know. Okay, well, I do. Co-host starts rumpusing because his host of the show's just been made to look stupid because he's made a very bold declaration that the equatorial plane has come from a sphere somehow. When I ask him out, he hasn't got the vaguest idea. Now me, this whole back and forth has only come because I've been finally, after being taken off mute, given the platform to make a point. My point starting with a question about where the equatorial plane comes from. He doesn't know, and rather than being allowed to actually make my point about the equatorial plane coming from a flat Earth, he starts playing a red rhetoric video, forcing everybody in the show to go on mute by default. So it's like, all right, so I've finally got the floor. I'm asking him about his claim that he's wrong about when he asserted boldly that an equatorial plane came from a sphere somehow. And then I'm not allowed to make the point. It's onto red rhetoric's video, which obviously my blood's boiling. But when we finally finish the boring video that's 2017 nonsense and affirming the consequent fallacy, Patrick just goes through it in exactly the right form, pulls apart red rhetoric exactly as I would have done. I'm like, wow, this is good actually. This is nice. I don't have to do anything. So he goes through the affirming the consequent, points out, again, good on you, Patrick, that they haven't addressed a single point we've laid down. You haven't addressed how we haven't got Earth curve. You haven't responded to that. You haven't addressed how we've proven it's flat with elevation angle measurements. You know, he did get a bit carried away and start throwing in stuff about axial rotation, which we hadn't covered, and various other things that he sort of rattled off. But they've been doing it all night, so who cares? But yeah, like I say, my co-panel member, if you want to call Patrick that, he's actually one of my Patreons. And he paid me as well. He was like, he gave me money and then approached me about going on the show. If you want to entice me out to go on some other platform, I've always said this and Brian was the first to do it, just pay me. Now, he's a Patreon. He's on my side. Now, he didn't, strictly speaking, pay me, but he did give me money and then got in touch and was like, well, would you like to come and do this debate with me? That'll get my attention. It wasn't, but in the scheme of things, it wasn't an enormous amount of money. But when you're poor, it is an enormous amount of money to me. And it wasn't, I'll work out how much I'll pay you. It was, here's some money. Thank you for teaching me how to debate. His reason for giving it me was nothing to do with his request. In other words, he's like, thank you very much for giving me the skills to debate. This is how I put them to good use in a debate about vaccines. Oh, wonderful. That's great. Thank you for the money. And then he asked me if I'd like to do a debate with him. Now, that is how you do it, right? Because that'll get my attention, especially when I'm scraping by the breadline. It's difficult to make ends meet. You've got a couple of kids that you're homeschooling and you want to pay for all the stuff that they need. All that kind of crap. Yeah, you just pay me, right? That's how they got me on that show, in case you're wondering, right? Sod all to do with my concerns about neutral platforms and everything to do with just pay me. I do this for a living. Therefore, if I'm not doing it on my own show and there's no financial incentive, really, I'm not interested. Yeah? Oh, what? You want me to go and debate Professor Dave on a neutral platform? I couldn't give a crap. Number one, he hasn't asked me. Number two, if he wasn't paying me, I wouldn't be saying yes. And number three, I've asked him to come here, and he said no. So that's how this works. It's a financial transaction between me and my audience in regards to their watching me on a commercial platform. That's YouTube. That's how it works here, right? But money talks, and that's why I'm over on this neutral platform getting muted and smiling about it, because I couldn't give a crap how often I get muted in reality. From there, and it's earning my family money, yeah, you can mute me all day long. I'll just quietly and politely have an aside with the audience and call you a wanker for muting me. No harm, no foul. Me smiling at the end of it, no problem. Because that's how I'm kept rosy. That's how I'm kept keeping the lights on. But yeah, so that's what my Patreon did. Yeah. So thank you very much. I just wanted to shout him out. That little diatribe was mainly to say thank you very much for your generosity and support, Patrick Gunnels, who's now, as a result of that debate, officially now in the public eye as a flat earther, which he wasn't prior to this. So hopefully he's prepared for that, because maybe his audience knew in his section on Rumble, but he's part of a bigger group of people who are all doing this stuff. But as far as I know, they didn't know, and the public maybe didn't know either, that he was a flat earther, other than maybe the odd, very small percentage of people hearing me shout him out as a patron. But I don't think that would register with many people. So there we go. That was quite a long waffle just to thank Patrick.
Well,
hang on.
What I'd say about Patrick is he seemed like a good lad. He seemed like he kept cool under pressure, which is very important. But no, I won't go into critiquing somebody because I wasn't doing the debate, so I won't critique him too much. But he was allowing them off, and at one point he was trying to stop you from grabbing them on fallacious reasoning. Right? You don't do that. You never allow them off with anything. Right? You grab them on all the fallacious reasoning. So other than that, he's only the only other thing I found the bit I watched that I would critique him on, right? That without being anal about it, is the fact that I think he expected a fair platform, whereas you knew that you weren't going to get that, and he tried his best to be as cool and cordial as possible. But really, all they were doing is trying to mute you and send as many questions his way as possible, and then try and twist and turn things with nonsense as much as possible. There was no chance of him ever getting the outcome that he was trying to get, which was some kind of an honest platform where there wasn't muting and nonsense going on. So I think he needs to pay attention to that no, you need to hold these people on absolutely everything, because they have no interest in what you have to say. They have no interest in what proofs you have to show or the bunks you have for their model. They have only interest in basically shutting you down or character assassinating you.
Sure, but
That's
I can understand why. They're, strictly speaking, they're like his co-hosts. They're working on the same network he works. So they're colleagues in the strictest sense. So if somebody's a colleague, generally speaking, you kind of expect a certain courtesy extended to you. And I think Patrick was under the misapprehension, because of the colleague relationship that he has with them, that exactly as you say, Brian, that he'd be extended some reasonable discourse. And I knew that weren't going to be the case. You know, the second that I was getting talked through and rumpused, or not, or something I corrected them on wasn't accepted or taken personally, you're like, I know this isn't going to go well.
Nathan, we have 142 people watching.
Woo-hoo.
We are growing. We are the winning argument here. We take down the double-edged sword, even pseudo-flat earth channels. Okay? God be with them. But here's the thing. How did we get here? Okay, we're not going to talk about the act of Congress. We're not going to talk about shadow banning. Forget all that. How did we get here? We got here because they came to the show and got beat. Then they boycotted the show. Fine, no problem. Winning arguments still win without you. So next thing you know, we still keep going. And then what happens is we do review videos. And review videos means you're still coming on my show, whether you like it or not, and we're going to tear your position by a winning argument. So we take on the bigger boys like Neil deGrasse Tyson and all these pseudoscience type of people. And then now it morphs into the third variation of it. Nathan on the road on other channels. Do you see what's happening here? The winning arguments cannot be crushed when they come on the show, so they boycott. They cannot be crushed when we critique other videos. And now you're on the road and they cannot be crushed. It's all the way to the finish.
Well, spread the word. So there's maybe a tactic we can employ here with this Penguinz guy. So I'm going to spam a link to this guy's video, right? And what I want you to do, because I like this guy. I'm not actually subscribed myself, I don't believe. Am I? I don't know. I don't think I am subscribed. How do I find that out? I don't know. There we go. Yeah, big white button with subscribe on it. So I'm now subscribed to this guy, right? And I want you to do the same. And this is a Russian vids technique. When you go to this guy's video, which I hope you'll do once we round out this live show, what I want you to do is, in the nicest possible way, you know, commend him, tell him wonderful video, tell him you've subscribed, and tell him I sent you. And maybe mention that we responded to this video. So obviously he's going to be inclined to keep the positive comments when you say, I've subscribed, thank you so much, great video. Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. He did a little response on you. So, with any luck, this YouTuber, who's inclined with his mainstream cuckery and surface level research to knock flat earthers because they want to feel special, hopefully he'll understand a little bit better that, you know, the numpties who get all the promotion, or did, in the flat earth arena, who claim science when they don't know what it is, that's not all flat earthers. Some flat earthers, us, are on the absolute cutting edge of proving Earth is a flat plane by way of applied flat Earth elevation angle measurements and the maps and models which have all been derived from flat plane measurements. So you're on a flat plane. Even if you think you're on a globe, that model came from a flat plane, my friend. But I'd like him to know that we've obviously critiqued him in his critique of us as being somehow thinking we're special because we're flat earthers. When in fact we're just, what, Dunning-Kruger? Don't know what we're talking about? Been proven wrong with experimental data that numpties have offered you? No. Do some more better than surface level research. Don't just get your information from Netflix. Yeah? Because that just makes you look ignorant. I like you though. I've subscribed. And hopefully the people who also subscribe to you will let you know that Nathan Oakley 1980 sent them. Because we critiqued you. So there you go. I found his link. Go and do that if you so desire. Obviously, it's up to you. No pressure whatsoever, even without containment.
And what I was thinking while you were saying that, we've got years on this subject matter. This is, if you think of the sense of a military, you have the elite forces that go in on certain things, and then you've got the people who just came out of boot camp. So it's like there's anybody on this panel that cannot take on anybody else's panel. They have no idea what flat earth debate has trained us to be, to spot fallacies, to see how they ask a question before you can answer it. They're already asking, scattergunning 5 other questions. The tactics, that was the key thing, seeing how they get over being put on the spot. And then the arguments by asking the right question and staying on it and going through the Socratic method of what is a definition? What do you mean when you say that? Which they don't want to say what they mean because it destroys what they're trying to say. Like this guy, this requires a horizontal base. Well, what do you mean? Are you saying that Sexton could only work with a horizontal base? Is that what you mean? It'd be over the minute. I mean, he'd be already asking you 10 other questions just to get away from that one, which came out of his own mouth. So flat earth debate has been through the fire. You boycotted us, right? We do review videos, and now we're going on the road with Nathan. I love it.
I don't know about that. We'll see.
I do.
Depends how deep people.
I just left a comment on his video. If y'all refresh, you'll see it.
Okay.
Don't forget the hashtag Flat Earth Debate Crew.
Just a quick shout out while I'm refreshing this video and having a look for the newest comment. How do I get to this? I'm so unfamiliar. I don't normally watch videos on my PC unless I'm doing it like this is like the only way I ever watch videos, so I don't have to use the damn thing. Here we go, comments. Well, there's my comment, which was first. And then if I sort by newest first, hopefully we'll see. Who is it that just said that they'd left a comment first? Who is it that just spoke?
Gene.
I think it was Gene.
Gene. What's the username? Gene.
Username is my face and it says Gene has a question.
I can't see it, my friend. But then again, sometimes that happens with comments. So that wasn't a good segue. But I'm sure.
Damn,
hopefully,
Globies, they censored us already.
if nothing else, you've encouraged others to do the same. But yeah, just go and tell him. Go and subscribe. And say, yeah, great video. Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. He critiqued this video on his show today. Maybe you want to check it out.
I even gave him the episode number.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Gene. That's just what I want to see. By example, I'm sure others will do the same, hopefully. Okay, just a quick shout out to Ills G. He says, great. From last night, it was reminiscent of the Billy Madison dodgeball domination of first graders. Oh, thank you. I assume you mean by me. Really appreciate the super chat. Okay, I think that's going to be it, unless someone else wants to add anything.
I got something to say on that show.
Yeah, go ahead. Did you watch?
What was that?
Did you watch it?
What?
The show that we're talking about.
No, I didn't get to. I just caught on the last 20 minutes of this video.
Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, yesterday at night, around 10 o'clock at night, Central Time, USA, over here, there was this guy named Bro Sanchez, has maybe under 200,000 subscribers, had 1.4 thousand live viewers discussing flat Earth, and oh my God, not one fact was spit. But before I poo-poo on them, they shouted out Nathan Oakley quick. They said that
You don't know
UK
who
white boy
Sanchez
gets
is?
in their ass.
I like Bro
I'm sure
Sanchez.
I know Bro. I went on Bro Sanchez years and years ago.
Yeah, no, they shouted you guys out. They had nothing but good thing to say about you.
I
Now, it
tried
wasn't
to
too
I tried to
intelligent.
get on his show, but we just never got it together, he and I, because of the time differences. It just never worked out. But we were going back and forth for a while trying to arrange a time, and it just never panned out. But in any event, I'm a subscriber. I love Bro Sanchez.
Yeah, I enjoyed it from a entertainment perspective. It was a bunch of racist, slurs everywhere, but a lot of fun
Right.
nonetheless.
Look, man, as a proud
Nah,
black man, I love Bro
Because
Sanchez.
they were racist because
We
they were
went
white.
we went straight to Kundalini, to Flat Earth, to NASA, back to the chakras. Boy, we were everywhere.
Let me guess.
Went to
Am I right
electromagnetism.
in saying this, Gene? You were there for a while.
I was not. I couldn't take it, man. I honestly couldn't take it.
Oh, right. I like that stuff. I suppose that's fair enough. If it's not for everyone, it's like Russian vids or something. Some people are just like, no, I can't do that. No, I want to wait loads of hours watching.
Was he debating?
Nathan, it's
fight the
probably
flat
because
Earth?
you're black.
I was going to say, it's not the race thing, but yeah, as a black man, I do like a bit of Bro Sanchez.
Can I
Well, there was
say
a lot of racial
something?
slurs being hurled. So
That's all good.
Anyway,
I just want to know what Shakira has to do with flat Earth.
oh my goodness. Anyway,
Anyway,
okay, people are not
you're
limited.
showing your age there.
go ahead.
All right, so somebody said anyway 3 times, bro. That means let's move on. Agree. So people are not limited to the hints and insinuations that are given by others. You can go to other platforms and initiate your own, particular form of activism. You could go there, like let's say to this, mustache bearded dude, Penguinz0, right? Go to one of his live streams, drop the comment on a live stream. Use $2 or $5 of your own money to invest into something you believe in, right? It'll be noticed by many people. Now, based on a 12 million subscriber count, 10% of those people are going to be alternative cosmologists or open to the idea. It's that simple based on recent statistics. So you have roughly 10% of his thing that's going to see your super chat, or they're going to be reactions to it. And once there's enough reactions, then it can't be ignored. And not to mention that other YouTubers are going to his channel, like big YouTubers, like a 5 million subscriber or 2 million subscriber. And you can see the benefit that it's going to have, right? It's not that hard. Like, just go there, spend $5 of your own money, drop a super chat, make it juicy, not like punky and jerky, just respectful. You might want to inform Penguin, hey, Penguin, did you know that these are some of the errors that are in those videos? It'd be great to address them rather than just say, like the National Geographic, the one with Mr. Speak and Spell, and then the other one with Jaron and all these. Like,
they all have errors in them. They all misrepresent the truth. I'd hate for you to go out there on a limb and put your foot in your mouth misrepresenting the truth. So let's talk about it. And then maybe you'll date something.
Right, big respect.
Well, fine.
Yes, much better approach than my calling him a hippie or taking the piss out of his long hair as some of the chat members did. Right? No, that's not the way to approach this. That's why I'm trying to, in my mind, saying go and subscribe to him to show appreciation of as a content creator. Because he's a good content creator. I just want to assure you, you're not subscribing to some crap YouTube. There's a reason he's got a lot of subscribers. He's good.
Yeah, and the algorithms work that way, by the way. So if you go to, like, say, 5 people that are interconnected with segues that you haven't yet got to, they will start to come to you based on their tags and the likes videos that you've liked. And so eventually people will be getting in their feeds. Same that happened to me, by the way. I was researching certain things, and all of a sudden, because of the algorithm, I was given certain information that led me down certain paths. And so you have the opportunity to give that to other people. Yeah, it may cost some of your time. It may cost some of your money. But is it worth it to you? And I'll leave you with that.
Yeah, perfect. There will be a short after show to follow, but with that, I'm going to say if you are watching on the live stream, this is where we bid you farewell, unfortunately. So a massive thank you to all of you who did smash the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either premiering stream. Another thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!